referees have something to say, and then I usually just stare at the reflection of the lights in the gym off the top of their head and be like, they're pretty honest comparison. There'll be some people who are like, I think he's better. I was actually talking with someone about this. I said, it's crazy to really have him in that conversation, and Romeo scored, 3,000 points in Indiana?
Sports. We're at the game.
Welcome back to the Era Sports Podcast, where we are talking to players and coaches leading up to the next basketball season, which is like Christmas Day every year. The weather's changing, which means it's getting close. Today, I'm joined by, honestly, probably one of my closest coaching friends. I love this guy. Coach Hill, how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Patrick, what do you think? Right when I ask, he looks up. What do you think about the braids, Patrick? This is...
Hey, man, that's Henryville, bro.
That's right.
That's the best hair.
The beard combo.
Yeah, usually the only people that have a problem with my hair, it's usually like men who are bald or men who are like super gray. Yeah. So I just go with, usually the referees have something to say, and then I usually just stare at the reflection of the lights in the gym off the top of their head and be like, my wife likes it. So.
You had the beard little braid, didn't you, at one point?
No. I can't do the beard braid.
I thought you had that, man.
No, and I had to trim it up. My wife, she was like, you got to trim your beard. So I finally caved in, trimmed up the beard a little bit.
I'm not going to lie to you. You're the only coach I've ever given Era merch. And to come on the Era podcast with not wearing any of it is a little hurtful for me.
Well, you got to understand, today after school, had to get the kids ready, 2 boys ready for football, was helping coach football, had a parent meeting running behind. Didn't have time to get the Era shirt on, but
okay,
I did get the
you do have your
Jordans
retro
on,
sixes, so at least you did. At least you look good.
I always look good.
Coach, it's your upcoming 11th year at Henryville, where you went to school. So that's really cool. We've had a couple coaches on today that say Coach Wilkerson went to Jeff, Coach Hoffman went to Silver Creek. So it's cool to see those guys go back and coach at where you went. Won 124 games. It's really cool. You've had some really good players, some really good teams. Tell me what you're excited for your 11th year.
Just another chance to get to compete and represent Henryville to the best of our ability. Last year, win-losses wasn't great, but we had a great group of kids. Losing Giannis, Hayden Barber, T-Money, that's big. But I really like the seniors we got coming back. They're hungry. We had a good summer. We had some guys missing. But we had a pretty good summer, and I'm really excited about this group. No real star, I wouldn't say, but I feel good about coming into this season.
Tell me a little bit about your time at Henryville. What are some of your favorite? Not maybe favorite. I won't phrase it that way. What are some of your best players that you've ever had?
A lot of good ones. Last year, you look at Giannis's numbers. And guys that played there to average 23 and 12.
Era All-Star alum.
Era All-Star alum, yes. He was great. Cade Badger, he was a great kid to coach. And then some other guys that not as good as much. Cody Wallace, a lot of people may not remember him. He was just a guy that went and worked and worked and worked. I think in the 2 years that he guarded the Jones kid from Pekin, I think he held him to 6 one game and 7 the other. And he just did everything. Nick Walker, Braxton Robertson.
Nick Walker, man, that's a good name to remember.
That is a good name. Gosh, I miss him. And Thomas Green, everybody forgets about Thomas Green. Thomas Green scored 800 points, and he was always the second or third best player on his team. In other eras, Thomas would have been probably 1,200, 1,300 point scorer. He was a career 70% from the field. So part of me is like, probably had him shoot more because you're making 7 out of 10, but we've had a lot of great kids, and ones I haven't mentioned, they're great. We're very fortunate. A lot of our former players come back. It could be the day before Thanksgiving, and we have 2 or 3 guys just show up, just like, hey, you want us to pass in a drill? What can we do? And that's for me. That's really awesome that so many guys come back. If they're in town from college, they come back and hang out. So that's really awesome.
So what was it leading up to your hiring at Henryville? Did you coach before? Was this your first job? Like, what did that look like?
Basically, I think it was my second year out of high school. Started coaching junior high, freshman, JV. I won't get into too much of the details, but basically got passed over the job right after the tornado. It is what it is. The people in charge went a different direction. I didn't get the job, but 2 years later, when the job came open, was fortunate enough to get it. been moving forward ever since.
There we go.
There's the train.
There's the train. The hill train's rolling.
That's right.
Let's talk a little about your 2018 team. I think probably one of your better records of your career. Who was on that team? What were the sectional happened to be really good that year too. I think
Loaded.
you took a loss to Clarksville, who went on. But
that was one of those things. Well, we knew coming in the year before we had won 19 or 20 games. We had lost 2 or 3 seniors, but we still had Nick coming back. We had Thomas, Casey Robertson, Kendall Dunn, and Cade Badger. Those 5 guys, and it was kind of we knew we were going to be pretty good. But we started the season off a little rocky. Silver Creek got us. We'd got them the year before in overtime at 3rd place, and they came in and beat us. Then Paoli the next weekend came in. They beat us. And then we went to the historic Hoosier Gym. And I know it's a really cool gym. They did the movie. It's got history, but I absolutely don't enjoy playing games there.
you don't like sitting on the baseline?
I've played there 2 real games, and I'm 0-2 there. So I don't know. But anyways, we got beat by Salem up there. So we start out the year 0-3. I'm thinking we were really good last year. What is going on? Yeah. And then we just came back right after that, and we just clicked. We got things going. Rolled off 21 straight. And right after that, beat Paoli in the sectional in the first round. I think they were ranked.
Yeah, they were good.
Ranked second. We were maybe ranked 4th. Cade Badger with an awesome performance. Interesting story about that. Hayden Casey, who's at CAI, he was my student teacher, and I was talking to him before the game. And he's like, what are you going to do? I was like, you know what? Cade had a great week at practice. I said, Cade might be the MVP tonight. He's like, Jerry's averaging like 3 points a game. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, no, this kid's a gamer. I said, if things go bad, we got this guy. I think Cade ended up with 20 that night. We got down. Cade got 20. Hayden couldn't believe it. I was like, I wouldn't worry about that guy. And then later that week, didn't play our best against Clarksville. We had beat them in a close game the week before the sectional. Hats off to them. They had a great game plan. We didn't play well, and
It was one of Clarksville's better teams in the last.
Yeah, they were
10
good,
years.
and they were a tough matchup. They had I'm terrible with names. They had a big kid inside, 6'3", 6'4" kid. They had another kid that kind of matched up with Thomas, and I think the streak kind of hurt us. You know, you win 21 games, and really in that stretch of 21 games, I think maybe twice we had our backs against the wall. Once against Crawford County when Levi was still there. And then the Clarksville game was tough, but we edged it out. And, you know, you got teenage kids who are like, we beat them. We've won 21 straight. But hats off to them. They got us. And then the only good thing, I guess, that year was that a Henryville guy won the sectional, Randy Edwards. He played high school ball with my Uncle Jay. And the Austin Eagles got the dub and won the sectional.
That sectional was crazy that year. I was thinking, did Clarksville win it? No, it was Austin.
It was Austin.
Yeah.
Rockin' Randy.
Tell me a little bit about, from perspective, Henryville should be a 1A school, and I could be wrong. And now you're back down in 1A. How did that change? Why weren't you 1A?
It's just the numbers. You know, you look, we've had so many charter schools and private schools in Indiana gain eligibility. And, you know, the last couple of years we've been hovering around the 320, 330 mark. And post-COVID, not just us, I think a lot of schools, there's some that's went up, but most schools have had a little bit of drop in enrollment. And ours was low enough to where for the next 2 seasons we'll be 1A.
Do you think you could potentially host the sectional next year?
There's no better place to host the
Right.
1A. You look back, and there's been great games at Borden. There's been great games at other places. But I think at Henryville, our gym, I think it gets, it just gets very, very, very loud.
There should be, we talked about it, Doc, and sorry, West Wash, I'm just not a fan for them to host it. It's not great. There's a really good game, and there's like 200 open seats. And then this year we would go back to Borden, and it feels like the most intense environment you've ever had. And I just think that one of you guys should host it. But that's my personal opinion.
Well, the logistics, you start looking at travel, you know, if it's pending bad weather, where Henryville's located in proximity of Interstate 65, Highway 31, New Wash coming over through I think it makes the most sense to be at Henryville and Borden. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. But I also think we do a great job of hosting it. We set up our other gym when we used to host it. Our other entire gym was kind of a holding area, and then we would also have the concessions over there, so people could get out of the gym when it's hot, hang out a little bit in the other gym. So
There we go.
Yeah. Did you work? Did you get to work any with Perry Hunter?
yes, that's when first started out. Working in the junior high, and then I want to say it was the 05-06 season. Perry took over. I think I was an assistant the first year, and then came on as the freshman coach. Then after Josh Conrad, who was Perry's JV coach, left to take the girls' job in Henryville, I moved up to the JV. And then when Perry resigned before the tornado, I still stayed on, coached one more year. I didn't get the job, coached a year. And I was actually going to take a coaching job at Jeffersonville when my brother-in-law Matt Pate was there. But I had already taken the varsity baseball job at Henryville, like in the same time period. So that didn't work out, but that was fine. So I coached varsity baseball for a year. That I took off coaching from basketball. And then that spring, I was fortunate enough to accept the job.
Have you seen any differences since they did have that tornado in Henryville in terms of sports or enrollment or town or anything Henryville related?
I think there's been a lot of positive. Unfortunately, we even though we did have the tornado that hit our school, there were repairs done. It's just very unfortunate. I don't want to say anything that's going to get me in trouble, but there's a lot of things that didn't get put back together. I've been in. And
When
out
have
of
you ever
school.
cared about saying something that's
Well,
going to
I
get in
don't want to
trouble?
get I don't want to get sued by a major company that might have done some work. But at the end of the day, there weren't as many leaks before the tornado. There weren't as many mold issues before the tornado. There weren't as many plumbing issues. There weren't as many HVAC issues, electrical issues. So I don't want to get into too many details, but it's just very, very unfortunate that it got put back that way. And honestly, I think most people would agree, looking back, we probably should have just started over. We were very fortunate to go down to Graceland. That's where our elementary was for the last semester of school, or last 9 weeks. Junior and high school, we got bused up to Scottsburg. It was a warehouse. We were there. It's probably one of those things, if we could have just found a way to stay there 6 more months or a year, things would be better. But at the end of the day, we got to move forward. When the roof leaks, we got to fix it. If there's plumbing issues, we got to fix it. We tell our kids sometimes, man, we got leaks in the roofs. It's like, it is what it is. We'll get it fixed. So you can't spend too much time complaining, because most of the time nobody cares when you complain. You just gotta make the best of it.
Were you around during their, I believe it was 2004, 2005 season when they had a really good record and really good team? Were you?
Yes,
around?
that was 03, 04. I was coaching in the junior high, but followed that team. 04. The guy that was the star of the show, the famous Shane Meadows. He played varsity as a freshman when I was a senior, and that was his senior year. And you talk about basketball legends in Southern Indiana. I can remember one night, Shane was a senior in high school, and I was playing down at the Nolan Fieldhouse in a men's league, and he just came down there, and I can still vividly remember this. He walked in a pair of slides. It was freezing cold outside, but that was Shane. Ball shorts, T-shirt, and slides. And I think he hit like 37 threes at the top of the key in a pair of slides, and it's just like, that's amazing. But he was good at everything. They had a thing in the gym one time. They had it was a motivational speaker. It was a ping pong group, and they were professional ping pong players. And like, does anybody want to play? And the kids just start laughing because everybody starts looking at Shane. And they're like, shooter, go play him. And, kind of acts like it. He beat the guy who was supposed to be a professional. And I think also that was back when Call of Duty was popular. I think at one time Shane worked his way up into the top 10 in the world at one time at Call of Duty.
Sounds like I need to have this guy on the podcast.
I think that you want to talk
Most
about
interesting man in the world.
He's got some really good stories. I don't know if he'd want to tell them all, but he'd probably give you a few good ones. So
We've been asking all the coaches, really a most important part of Henryville basketball is the help that you have as your assistant coaches. Really good friends with one of them, but tell me the rest of them. Who do you got helping you?
You start at the top, Coach Boger. I tell him all the time, I was like, look, man, if you want to go be a head high school coach somewhere, like, you'd be great. I think in all the years I've done this, I've been sick for like maybe 2 or 3 practices, and I can just remember calling him one. I was like, look, man, I can't run practice. I'm sick. He's like, don't worry about it. We got it. And I didn't even have to think about it. He's that good. He coaches with distinction. He's an awesome guy. There's like a lot of times there's jealous of him. It's like, wish I was more like you. Like today, prime example. I'm trying to get to the ballpark to get my kids to football practice, and Ryan's running down the road. I think he's training for a marathon right now. And he just stopped in. He's like, what's going on? It's like, we got football tonight. So we just talked for a minute, but it doesn't get any better than that guy. You know, he is truly one of my best friends, and I could not coach without him. You know, I've done it this long, and he's big. A guy who's no longer our assistant, he's our AD, Jacob Guernsey, same way, rock solid. We talk every morning. Some other assistants. Coach Holt's still with us. You know, won't out him on his age, but he's with us. Got a new guy coming on staff this year. We got Clay Reagan. He's a new teacher in our area. He's a bio teacher for us. So we got them. My cousin Trenton Guthrie, former player, played for me. It's just so much funnier him being on the other side now. It's like, you did that same stuff, buddy. Be careful. Anyways, but him, and then we got a lot of former guys that just come in, and that's really big too. Whether it's just talking to our players, getting in a drill to pass, shooting free throws at a water break, rebounding, all those guys. That's what really makes it good. And I almost forgot one guy. He would have been very upset. But our director of basketball operations,
I can't believe you. I wasn't going to say anything.
He's in Iowa. Hopefully he doesn't even see this. But anyways,
I'm going to send it. I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh gosh, now I'm going to be in trouble. But he's the other guy. There's so much involved in coaching, scouting reports, all kinds of stuff. But Dennis is really my go-to guy. He makes sure we get tape, we send tape, uniform orders, shoe orders. He's always talking to somebody from BSN. So as much as I say I couldn't coach without Ryan, I don't know if I could do it without Dennis either. He gives me a lot of grief at times and always reminds me that I couldn't do the job without him. But most time he's right, because there's so many things, especially at a small school. We've got a JV coach and 2 paid assistants. But there's just so much behind the scenes that gets done, and he does a lot of it.
This will be my 9th year coaching at Christian Academy, and it's always just like, I don't know, it feels like family playing against you guys. You guys are all like the community, especially Ryan. Like, you guys are just all such good people, and like it's fun to be around you guys.
Am I included in that? A lot of people won't say that about me, but if it was about me, I appreciate it.
I mean, yeah, you're pretty cool.
All right, thank you.
You do wear my Era merch sometimes.
I do wear the Era merch.
There's actually I'll have to post a picture, I guess, that before the basketball game, not just a basketball game, but sectionals, you're literally wearing Era merch on the sideline before you play Brownstown.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like it was a white flag.
No, it wasn't a white flag. I like that. No, it was one of those things. I wouldn't say trying to be cool with the kids, but it's also kind of one of those things. What coach is going to wear a pair of retro 6s like this? And I was like, you know what? I think it'd be cool. And really, because you do so much for basketball, some of these kids, and a lot of people don't realize the exposure you're helping get these kids. And it's kind of one of those things. If I was in a shot with Jack Benner making a 3 that night and they see Era, somebody's going to be like, what's Era? Why's that guy wearing Era? And then once they find out,
Doc Nash definitely wouldn't wear Jordans.
No, Doc Nash is not cool. But no, Doc's my guy. After our conference meeting every year, we always go to dinner, and it's cool because it's kind of the end of the season. We get to catch up, talk about the kids, talk about life. So usually one of us buys dinner. But no, Doc's a good guy.
You're going to be one of the higher enrollment schools in your sectional in 1A. What's the game plan to get Henryville back on top and maybe being able to compete for sectionals, regionals going forward?
The feeder program, we've been doing a lot with our feeder program, and we got so much help in the feeder program. Mm-hmm. Last year we had our first grade team. I'll talk about them in a minute. But we had first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Playing in a league that Brandon Hoffman kind of put together with some local teams. I'll talk. So the first graders, my youngest son, Moose.
Milkman.
Milkman. His real name's Elijah, but most people don't know that. Basically, him and some of his buddies. It was one of those things. I think I remember seeing a tweet that Josh Thompson had put out. Bar Reeves coach, awesome guy, obviously awesome coach. But he mentioned something about coaching. You know, if you ever get a chance to coach your kid in youth basketball, it's a really good thing. I was like, you know what? It's really busy, but I think I can make this work. And my youngest son, he loves basketball, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I got him and some kids in first grade. Played a full second grade schedule because it's hard to find games in first grade. Got one of my buddies, former linebacker at UK, Ridge Wilson. He lives in Henryville. His son, very good player. So him and Moose and a couple other kids. But we had a great year. Had a lot of fun too. Really was thinking, okay, I'm having to deal with these little 7-year-olds, and everything's new. And my goal was, we're going to make it fun. We're going to learn some basketball, but as long as they want to come back and play the next year, I'm going to be happy. But then we had our second, third, fourth. But the guys helping at those groups, John Connery did our second grade last year. Adam Campbell, Eric Markham did our third grade. My high school teammate, Cole Belcher, best friend, lives up the road, my neighbor. Still running Hills Auto these days. Cole is. He ran our fourth grade. One of my other friends, Nick Yeager, helped him. And then just all the way up through. So the help that I have is why we're trending in the right direction.
Watch out for Henryville 2036.
Oh, before that,
John Paul.
Gotcha.
JP's coming. JP's coming. But we got some other ones. Speaking of some kids coming, 8th grader Kobe Neese, 6'1", 6'2" kid, absolute workhorse. He's playing football because we've kind of relaunched football up in Henryville. And Kobe, he works so hard. You tell Kobe to do something, he's going to do it. And Kobe's an awesome kid. But we got a lot of other ones coming too. Our incoming 7th grade class, really like those kids.
So we did switch. We switched it up a little bit. You probably came from having Providence and Brownstown, one of the best 2A sectional. You just happened to just be right there with
Just
him.
happened to be there, yeah.
You just love it.
Oh, yeah.
Dropping down to 1A now. So we have Rock Creek, Borden, New Wash U, South Central Christian Academy, and West Wash.
Yeah. The host.
The host, yeah. What are some things that you do as a coach? You play a lot of those teams probably in the regular season, but do you talk about the postseason in the regular season? Like, hey, we're going to have to play.
Never. No, we're trying to I've always just tried to win every game that's in front of us. Don't try to get too far. That's why sometimes I don't always like the double weekends. Sometimes it's hard. I think me and the staff do a pretty good job preparing, but you got to think. Kids got to go to school. Kids got classes. Most of our kids are always taking college classes, engineering classes, and then you want them to come practice all week. They have a life. They have a girlfriend, and then trying to give them 2 scouting reports. And not to mention just, being a teenager, like it's the hardest it's ever been right now. So we really just try to focus on Friday. And then on Saturday, we try to pick out 2 to 3 things that we're going to try to do to maybe take stuff away they do, but we just try to focus on us because I don't want to give them too much because if they're having to think too much, then they're not playing.
What does that look like for you guys? Because the only thing that I don't know how it is, do you guys play the night before any conference championship? Or I know you and Borden are conference rivals. Yeah,
we play Providence the night before we play Borden every year. So I'm trying to think. That's typically the only. And then Crothersville at the end of the season, we always play West Wash before them. So no, we have some conference games on Saturdays on back-to-backs, but it just is what it is. Doc doesn't believe me, but we honestly never prepare for Borden, and that's not a shot at Borden. I don't want anybody to think it's a shot at Borden. I love Doc Nash. I love Borden School. Henryville and Borden.
School system, baby.
School system. We got divorced together, so I love them. Doc doesn't believe me, but you ask any former player. I never say I don't say anything about them until I see our guys on Saturday.
What are some players? So we've talked with all the other coaches that the area is so good this year. You have, you being a 1A and 2A guy for the last couple of years, but like we've talked about Jeff, we've talked about Silver Creek, Charlestown. All these schools have really good players. Give me 3 guys individually that you're just like, if I'm not playing, I want to watch this guy play this year, because it's a really cool year for us.
Honestly, to go see Jeff, and they're more than the big 3. We'll call them the big 3. But just to see those guys at the Era All-Star game, got to see some of those guys play. So definitely them. Another kid that I'd like to see is the Washington kid at New Albany. I'd like to see him live. Yep. And then honestly, and it's not because I coached with his dad, but just seeing his highlights and getting to see a couple games, Brandon Hunter. He's kind of like a coach's dream. You just say, go out there, lead the team, get guys involved. And just from watching AAU highlights, some that I've watched, you can tell in the little clips, his teammates like to play with him.
Oh yeah.
You got a guy that's leading your team and everybody wants to play with him. It makes coaching a lot easier. You're going to look like a really good coach. You got a guy like him that can just lead, get them where they need to be. And he's a better scorer. No, a lot of people's like, no, he can score, but he's rebounding, he's getting guys in the right spot. So he's going to be one. If we get some free time, definitely go see him.
Yeah. Funny you talked about Noah Washington. We haven't really talked about it a lot, but he played on Air Elite this weekend, and there were 2 or 3 games where outside of me too, like he was the best player on the floor playing 17U. And I get the competition at Mid America wasn't the greatest, but he is unbelievable.
He's a real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the comparisons to him and Romeo, obviously same school, a lot of hype. They're pretty honest comparison. There'll be some people who are like, I think he's better. I was actually talking with someone about this. I said, it's crazy to really have him in that conversation. And Romeo scored, 3,000 points in Indiana?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have been done? 3 or 4 times maybe that there's been 3,000 points, and we've got this kid coming through that it's like, he could be that guy. So
yeah,
I'd hate to be in the Hoosier Hills Conference or that sectional.
It's going to be a good one. Poor Scottsburg, right?
No, they won the state. No, no. Hey, their coach, great guy. And a lot of that was another thing. A lot of people think that they lost so much. They're not going to be bad. They're probably not winning the state title this year. But with the Bowles kid, I think his name, the guard, he's coming back. That guy's a winner. He's a tough kid. He's going to bring kids along. There's people saying Scottsburg's going to win like 5 or 6 games. I think they're going to be better than 5 or 6 to win team.
I don't think I've ever had more fun filming a player than Dare in the semi-state game when he had 6, 7 threes. It was so fun.
Well, I can remember a few years ago, we played him in a scrimmage. I think he hit 5 or 6. Scottsburg came down, and I think they were 22 for 40 in our scrimmage from the three-point line. This was back in 2022, 2023 season. I'm like, oh, this is going to be another bad season. We'd only won 7 the year before. They come down, and they just absolutely pound us. And then we kind of got on a little roll. It's like, well, maybe we're not that bad. Maybe Scottsburg's just really good. And
how about
they were these last 2 years. They were fun to watch.
A great Dare story. My brother got to play with him and Colby Hall are on the same team. And Dare went and checked himself in and told Coach, he said, Colby sucks. I'm a better shooter. I'm going to go take him. And he did. He went in and hit like 3 or 4 threes and
that's a guy you want.
Put Colby's butt on the bench.
Put him on the bench. No, that's a guy you want. Confidence is so big for these kids. You got to feed them confidence. They miss 8 or 9 in a row. Maybe dial it back a little bit, but just keeping them confident.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach, for coming out. Guys, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff we put out. We'll have a couple more episodes for you. Thank you, Coach Hill, for coming out. We appreciate your time. See you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Era Sports. We're at the game.